Hey everyone! Today I want to show this repaint inspired by El Día de los Muertos. I've gathered some drawings and ideas I've made on repaints to recreate them. From the four candidates, the one that I felt most inclined to do was the last of the pairs. Specifically, this mural that I made on the workshop. For this repaint, I'll be using a Monster High Viperine and mixing it up with a Disney's Elsa. I was quite surprised to see both the doll's body and the head matched nicely. For her hair, I want to dye it with some alcohol ink that I've made, and I did consider removing it with some pliers and even cutting it, but as a doll artist, I love to take risks and I'm in it to win it. So I'll be using the alcohol ink at the end of the video. Now, as usual, I start by removing the factory paint with 100% acetone and softly playing around, rubbing as much as I can. And as I'm removing the factory paint, the eyes are still quite visible. Luckily, I am always prepared and I have an extra cotton ball on my hand to add another layer of acetone to really dim down that outline of the eyes. Once she's cleaned, I start using a paintbrush and really outlining where I'm going to place the lines, where I'm going to place the lines of the lips, and I'm going to do more lines because usually sugar skulls have a lot of lines, really beautiful intricate details. So am I going to be really extra or am I going to be simple? Now the fun begins. Once she's ready and wrapped like a burrito, I'll be applying the acrylics with my airbrush. For this, I'll be using the Vallejo series Nocturna. The color is Carne Pálida or Pale Flesh, and the series number is 74.015. As you're seeing, there's no paint coming out. So once again, I have to dismantle it, clean it thoroughly, and be right back. Fresh from the warm water that I used, now we can start repaint and playing with the pressure. Whenever I work with an airbrush, I have an extra paintbrush at hand with no paint, no water, preferably dry. I'm noticing some imperfections now that she's dry, so I take a paper cloth and gently remove those imperfections. Once again, I'm going very softly because right now I don't want to screw up all the work I've made this far. Sadly, I lost some footage, but as you can see, I already placed some solid colors on her eyes, on her lips, and now I'm going to add more depth to the eyes, make those pop even more. So I starting to outline some orange with my watercolor pencil, and afterwards I'm going to use a blending tool to start creating an ombre effect, doing some retouches with some yellow, and keep working and adding more layers to it and blending as much as I can. For this repaint, I want to have really bright colors and really avoid using black. I want to challenge myself in this 2020, what's left of it, to not use black on my repaints. So I'm using blues, purples, dark colors. This is the plan I have for this repaint. I'm going to use the warm colors to bring forward the cold ones, specifically the greens, the purples, and even though I mentioned that I wasn't going to use black, I used a dark umber, which is a very dark brown, to outline the eyes. It's not black, but I still wanted to add this eyeliner effect to the eyes. So I'm not shading, so I'm still using a dark color, though I would have liked to have a dark green, like a very, very dark green, but I didn't have one at hand. So sometimes we have to work with what we have. Off camera, I'm going to add more layers, define the eyes a little bit more, and some finishing details. Ever since I watched Etalon's video, I've stopped using pastels. Nowadays, I'm using makeup, and by far is my favorite tool to use. Not only it adds really solid colors on a solid application, but you can layer it and it looks so good. So right now I'll be using this light pink to layer on another layer. I rhymed. I'll be adding the hot pink. And now I'm layering more blush and adding some details to the eye. Here I'm going to start outlining the features that I want on this sugar skull. You're going to see me do a lot of mistakes, but part of the journey is to make some mistakes and work with them. Since I have a lot of imperfection while I work, so I'm going to start one side and line it so it can be symmetrical, because sometimes when I make details, one side is a little up and the other one is not even, so I need to practice. But for this repaint, I'm just going to line it and erase it afterwards. You're gonna see me use a lot the eraser for this process. Now to turn the head around and work the teeth. I usually tend to mess up this part, so I'm taking my time, not breathing, holding my breath, keeping my pulse check, because I can easily screw this over. And even though I'm using a light blue, is the lightest blue that I have, it tends to leave a mark. So be very cautious when you're working with blues. Off camera, I'm going to add more layers, define the eyes a little bit more, and some finishing details. So we'll be right back. she's completed. To add the finishing touches, I'm going to layer some rhinestones. I'll be placing them on the outer side of the eyes, and gluing them is going to be tricky because I want really small rhinestones, so I'm going to take my time. So I'll be working one side of the face, and off camera I'll finish the other one. For last, time to make her dress. I wrapped her in saran wrap, and using this lace application, I'll be making a cocktail dress. So I'm going to side by side, measuring where will be the center. So I trimmed this heart-shaped lace from the same fabric and using it on her chest. And since it's from the same lace and the same color, it's going to look like a full Since the saran wrap is going to protect the body of the doll, I can add as many amounts of glue I desire. So once the glue is set, I'll leave to dry for an hour, and afterwards start to sew and adding the final touches. Afterwards, I'll be adding some Velcro to finish her dress, and what she's missing is her cute photo shoot, and off camera I'm going to dye her hair with alcohol ink. Now she's ready for her photo shoot, and she's so photogenic and she looks so beautiful. The alcohol ink on the hair looks amazing. Like, wow. I still have to practice though, but maybe for our next project I'm going to reattempt the process again. But she still looks beautiful. I'm really happy with how she turned out. The dress looks good as well. Like, for my first sewn dress, yes. So what do you guys think? If you like this video, remember to thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for the next video next week. So remember to follow me on my social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and if you like my content, please support me on Ko-fi. Have a great day and take care.